Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to create a collection for fashion. I'll get to that in a minute. You can draw inspiration from anything. It might be that you have a specific fabric that you draw inspiration from and you want to use, and you incorporate that in your entire collection, or there's a theme that you follow or something like that. But generally speaking, there is something that connects all of the pieces in your collection together. Not everybody is going to have this, but this is something that I took a textiles class, and this was one of the things that was required for that class. And what's really helpful about it is that I have scraps of every type of fabric so I can feel a little piece of it and decide if that's how I want the weight of a specific garment to be or something like that. So I have a bunch of random scraps in here from other classes. Some of these are not uh, clothing fabrics, some of them are upholstery or something like that, because sometimes they're more fun to work with, but you have to keep in mind that it's going to be a lot heavier, and if you're going to put it on the runway, then your model is going to be really uncomfortable. This is just the assignment that it consists of. So it's labeling all the pieces of fabric, writing out what they are, what their content is, and then in the beginning of this, there is an explanation of what the binder is, what's in it, and then it breaks down into the fabric names. It's a master list of what the content is, what the description is, and what the fabric's name is, and what number it's supposed to be. So I believe one of my scraps is missing, so it's not at somewhere around like the halfway point. I know that the fabric swatch is actually one before it's supposed to be. I haven't figured out exactly what it is that's missing, but I know that some of these are not correct. But it's as accurate as I can possibly get it to be. Let me see if I can find specifically like a really interesting one to show you. I'll show you like what a page or two looks like. So this is what it looks like. It's got the swatch number, the fabric name, fabric's content, yarn type. Fabric count was not included in this. Construction, dye, print, or dye or print method, finish, characteristics, possible end use, and miscellaneous, which miscellaneous is used as um, the width of the fabric. So some of these are 48 inches wide, some of them are 60 inches wide. And the only reason that is important is if you're using a pattern, you know how many yards to get based on if you can fit pattern pieces side by side on the width of it. You might need more yards of fabric to get your pattern pieces to fit lengthwise instead of next to each other. So I'm trying to look for a really good example. I know there's one in here that's made of like little pieces of hair. There's like a piece of carpet fabric. There's some lace, there's some spandex, some stretchier pieces. There's some really fun patterns in here too, actually. Like these. This one might be my favorite one. Just because it's really pretty. Also the clover one that was on the other page. Ooh. This one. A lot of people don't like velvet because of it's a sensory issue, but this one's very soft. It's not like crushed velvet is like a little more uneven of a texture. This is smooth and soft across the whole thing. If you have a sensory issue to velvet, you probably won't care whether the texture of it is um uneven or not. If you have an issue with velvet, you're probably going to have an issue with all velvet, but personally, I like that one and I don't like crushed velvet. This is the one I was talking about. It's fur. It's silver pile knit, 100% polyester, yarn type filament, single filling pile knit, fiber dyed, doesn't have a finish, characteristics, soft hand, pore absorbency, possible end use, fake furs, apparel, outerwear, and the fabric is 60 inches wide. So like I said, this at the halfway point or so is where it starts to be one off because it's one of my samples was missing, but I know that obviously this is not going to be used as fake fur. This one is, and so I know that this one is right here, and this one is right here, and this one is right here, and so on and so forth. Oh, one of them got messed up. Sometimes they just get folded up. This one is like a piece of paper. It's like a really delicate fabric. I didn't even know that that was considered a fabric, but it transferred onto the tape a little bit, like the dye stained it. It's just kind of funny. Ah, apparently I had two missing. Yeah. So, that last swatch that I showed you, the paper one, is neat transfer paper, fiber content paper, yarn type none, construction none, dye or print method not available, finish none, characteristics tears easily, possible end uses used for printing fabric. So I think you use that to print on other pieces, which makes sense why the dye transferred onto the tape. And its width is variable. That means that this one is calico 100% cotton. That's a really cute pattern. You can see. But what's really nice about this is that I can go through and see what the stretch content is like. Because obviously, if you have a lot of really good fabric stores, obviously, if you have a lot of really good fabric stores, you can just go in person and feel some of the fabrics and source it on your own. But where I live, there aren't any really good fabric places nearby. There's just some like Michaels and like craft stores that might not have the best range of fabric. And sometimes it's out of the way to try and go there because they're not very widespread because we don't have the most profitable art community in the area that I live. So, having something like this is awesome because it makes art more accessible and it makes creating more accessible. It sucks to have to buy fabric online. Sometimes it can be really tedious and sometimes you don't get the fabric that you're looking for, but sometimes those are just the cards that you're given. So, this makes art a little bit easier. And I don't think they sell binders that are already filled out. So, if you did want to make one of these, you would have to follow some, I think they have videos, instructions if you need them. But their website's right there on the bottom www.textilefabric.com, basic textiles swatch kit. I think it's like $70, which is kind of a lot, especially if you're like a struggling artist. I had financial aid that helped me pay for things like that, but I think it's worth it. The investment is worth it if you can afford it. It definitely makes if you can afford the investment, it makes it a lot more accessible. Makes creating a lot more accessible. Sorry, I'm kind of talking out of order cuz I don't exactly know what really how to talk about creating a collection. I kind of just know how to do it and I've learned like little pieces through like studying. But I have other collections I've created. The way people illustrate is completely personal to them, and so the way that they choose and their process for creating a collection is different. So, like I said in the beginning, you might find a piece of fabric that inspires you, you might find a color that inspires you, or a song, or You can pull inspiration from literally anything. The inspiration for this collection was kind of like really girly. I think Sailor Moon inspired one of these pieces, but there was just the trend of hyper femininity going on because of the Barbie movie, and so I wanted to kind of do my own spin on that. And I chose to do these in watercolor, but you can draw them in pencil, you can draw them in pen, however you choose to draw your collection. Or if you even don't choose to draw them and you make like a collection board or like a mood board, that works too. Everybody's process is completely different. But, anyways, I'll go through these one by one and then I'll try to show them all together. Kind of see. So, the first one, that's the one that's based on Sailor Moon. It's like a very mini baby doll dress, very I want to say 60s, 70s inspired. I've seen some really short dresses from that time period, but I put it with some go-go boots to kind of match that vibe. And yeah, it's like an outer space sun and moon dress. Then the second one is floor length gown with a sheer cover up, and she's got a lot of bows in her hair, and a pearl necklace and pearl bracelets and red bottoms, because I don't know. Small cover up, pleated, and then the top of the dress is pleated, is what I wrote. This one is like one of those poster girl dresses, if you can see. Heels decorated with pearls and all sorts of jewels. Big bow in her hair. Again, very girly, but like hitting like different demographics. So like, I don't know. I drew like some red on her legs to try and match like the coloration of skin. This is one of my favorite ones in the collection just because I feel like I did the details really well. And then this one, it's like mermaid inspired. I don't know. I don't know why I gave her blue hair. Oh, it's got a sheer like back part. You can kind of see. Very sheer. Very softly painted. More red bottoms. This one is just like a plain cream dress. Off the shoulder, emerald or jade earrings, love letter clutch, and it's like a jewel heart. This one's really cute too. It's not my favorite, but I really like it. This one is a little more cozy. She's got flats on. There's slits and then ribbons tied around the tights. It's a sweater dress, and then she's got bows in her hair and beads, I think. I can't read my own writing. It's gotten smudged a bunch. And then I was not able to draw these colors light enough, so I feel like the rest of these have little splashes of color. This one's very colorful, but she's got a sparkly hijab, a sparkly top. I actually really like the way I drew the sparkles on that. You probably can't see very well. She's got a big, huge bow on the gloves, and then flowers and butterflies all across the dress. Those colors are too bright. If I redrew this, I would draw the colors duller. I feel like the top part is kind of okay, but then it gets to be way too bright at the bottom. And then I think this is the last one. She's got a giant flower hat, pants that are supposed to kind of look like cactuses, but they've got little stars on them, and halter top, and a giant pearl necklace. It's one of really fun ones. So, again, you can kind of do whatever you want with your collection, however you choose to do it. The fabric binder is kind of more for when you're turning those illustrations into actual garments, which there's a lot of skills needed in that, but obviously not everybody has the same education, but there are lots of videos on YouTube. You can learn how to hand sew, you can learn how to use a sewing machine, you can learn how to embroider. So if you don't have access to a bunch of different fabrics, you can learn how to decorate your own fabrics. You can learn how to do screen printing. There's a lot of things that you can do if you are trying to make your collection into reality. You can always outsource labor, though I don't suggest outsourcing labor to poorer countries just because there's already such strain on that and it's really unethical. But I mean, like, outsourcing to, like, if you know a friend, or you can reach out to someone online to source fabrics or source sewing, because maybe that's not a skill that you're able to learn or whatnot. There's a lot of options if you're trying to make your collection into a real thing. A lot of fashion weeks that you can apply to, you have to pay to show your clothes. Some don't. You just have to do research. But obviously, some people aren't able to travel, so the ones that might have free applications might be too far away, and you might have to send your clothes in and have some correspondence in that state, somebody that can, like, show up and talk to the models and things like that. But I feel like that's everything that I can think of how to create a collection. If you have any specific questions, let me know in the comments. I know a little bit about draping, so if that's something that you guys are interested in, I could probably teach that a little bit. I do know a little bit about sewing. I'm not the best at sewing. I actually prefer to follow a pattern than anything else, but I've also draped my own patterns, so I've got a little bit of a weird perspective on it. I know a little bit how to embroider. I know a little bit how to bead. There's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of things that you might need to know in creating a collection, but the main thing is just being enthusiastic and being excited, because if you want to create a collection, you'll figure it out along the way. And you only get better through practice. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!